Now, me and my friend applied to this one company in the culinary department, and I feel that we both like really hit it off with the recruiter. And a few weeks later, we got the onboarding email. We filled out all the paperwork. We went for the orientation meetings and stuff like that. And on July 2nd, I believe, it was my first official day of work. So I get ready, I go on the bus, I take the train, arrive at the company, go inside, and I'm super nervous because I've never had a job before. And I've done a couple like culinary camps in the past and a couple different culinary courses in school, but nothing actually like this where I'm getting paid. So I find my head chef. Basically in the kitchen, it's like you have a head chef and they're kind of in charge of like a group of people. It's like kind of the army, you know, like the soldiers, and then you have the squad leader, and then you have the lieutenant above them, and each can kind of control like a larger group of people. Those may not be the correct military definitions, but that's kind of how I see it. It's like ranks in the kitchen that you take orders from the person above you. So I find my head chef and she gives me tasks. The tasks are like cutting cheese, getting like the plates ready because we do like charcuterie plates and kind of like stuff that you eat with wine. Now, that being said, that brings me to the first tip of today's video, and this tip is very specific to the culinary industry. I'm not sure if other industries have this as much, but I noticed that when I'm working in the kitchen, this is something very common, that it's a lot of independent work. Like the first day of work for me, it was very stressful. I was very like careful of what I did, but I soon realized that most of the head chefs, they're doing their own thing. Everybody is doing their own thing, and it's kind of like you get a task and you just do it. One time I was asked to bring like one of those carts to wheel like a bunch of food platters out, and I asked the chef, hey, where can I find this kind of like cart? And they just said, find it. So I walked around the kitchen and I found like a cart that wasn't being used. Nobody claimed it or anything, so I just took it. So if somebody was waiting and they had that cart reserved, that's kind of too bad for them. So basically, tip number one is gonna be that kitchen work is really independent. The second tip of today's video is a bit more universal, and that tip is that to work, you need strong feet. My first few days at work, my feet and back were super sore. In fact, they're actually still a little bit sore. But as time goes on, you get a little bit more used to it. But just know that the first couple days before you get used to it, your feet are gonna be super sore. Like my ankles were swollen. So just make sure before and after work, you're always stretching. And if you go to the gym, maybe you hit the feet a little bit more, maybe you do a little bit more walking on the treadmill, calf exercises, leg exercises, just trying to make sure that you build up as much muscle as possible, because every single little muscle helps when you're working a long 8-hour shift. And the final tip of today's video is by far the most important one, I'd say, and that is how to actually make friends at work. Now, if you've never had a job and you're sitting there thinking like, oh, I'm super scared to get a job, I don't know anybody there, I won't have any friends, blah, 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 blah. Stop and listen to me. I invented the method called the 4-step fist bump method, and this almost guarantees you get at least an acquaintance. Not a friend you have to build up, but an acquaintance where you can build a friendship from. And this works almost every single time I've used it. I don't think I've ever had a bad encounter when I've used this method, so listen up close. The first step to this method is to obviously go up to them. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you're working in the kitchen with somebody and you're on the same task with them. You just go up to them and say, hey, mind if we work together? Chances are they're gonna say yes. Step two is to talk to them. You can ask them how long they've been working here, or better yet, something even simpler that I do is I just ask, how's it going? Simple as that. The third step is to introduce your name. I usually start by asking for their name first. So if I'm working with somebody or I meet somebody, I'll be like, hey, what's your name, by the way? And they usually tell me, and if they ask for my name, I tell them, but if they don't, then I just say it anyways. So what that looks like is after doing the first 2 steps, you say, hey, what's your name, by the way? John? Oh, nice to meet you, John. I'm Nick. But after you finally meet each other and know each other's names, most people skip out on this step, and I'd say that this is one of the most important steps. That is the fist bump. So after you get their names, you just go like this. Well, obviously lower because I'm sitting, but you go like this, and you just give them a fist bump. That simple. Because that little connection, the other person now sees you like, oh yeah, this guy's kind of chill. And that's how you kind of build an acquaintance. Like for example, there's this guy at my work that I didn't know anything about him, but I had the job of moving boxes with him. So as we're moving boxes, I did the 4-step method. I went up to him, asked if I could work with him. I asked him how he was. I asked him for his name, and then I gave him my name, and then a fist bump. And now every day at work, whenever we see each other, we just do like a little head nod to each other and smile. It's that simple. That's all you need. And if you want to build a friendship out of that acquaintance, just start hanging around them more often. Start joking with them, hanging around with them, and I can almost guarantee you you're gonna make a friend. So inshallah, maybe these tips can help somebody out there who's never had a job or is looking for a job. And I truly believe that these tips are really good and nobody else has talked about them on YouTube or the internet. And I believe that if you apply these tips fully, that your job experience is gonna be really, really good. Anyways, that's all for this video. If you like this video, consider checking out my channel. I post weekly and I'm sure there's something you'll love. That's all for this video. See you next week.